keyboard virus. Do you have a virus on your keyboard where it's typing keys such as the delete key? I know how to fix this. First of all, get a program that cleans all your temporary files. These viruses hide in your temporary directories such as the local data and the app data. One popular free program is CCleaner. Also clean everything in your downloads directory, in your cache, no matter what cache it is, application cache, download cache, etc. Number two, there is something on your computer, on a PC, that's called the command prompt. CMD is an abbreviation. I've discovered that when I run my command prompt, just by launching it, I launch it as administrator, it impacts the virus that I had on my computer. And the reason why is because the startup process for launching the command prompt deletes the virus somehow, which means the virus is probably associated with the command prompt initiation. The other thing you're going to want to do is check your BIOS, because these viruses might install their own BIOS, and the BIOS is what's typing on your computer. So what you do is you go and reinstall your BIOS, and you do the CCleaner. You get your antivirus software to get rid of whatever the delivery mechanism was. You run more than one antivirus program. The other thing you do is you go through your task scheduler, and anything that has anything to do with the keyboard input, you stop those processes. If you see something that says Microsoft Windows input mechanism or Microsoft Windows keyboard, virtual keyboard, halt all of those. The other thing you do is go into your start menu and look for ease of access. So it's going to be things like zooming in and virtual keyboard, which you see over here on the left. And what you're going to do is there's 3 or 4 different programs. One is the virtual keyboard, speech recognition, the magnifier. You can make it so that these programs cannot be executed. And there's different ways of doing it, but you go to the file, you give yourself the control to change the permissions, and then you change the permissions so that it cannot be executed. And because there's so many different versions of Windows, including multiple releases of Windows 10, there's so many different ways to do it, you're going to have to research that on your own. There's another program called PowerToys. PowerToys, which this looks like it over here on the right. This is it over here, the ultimate guide to using PowerToys. Get this program, it's free. And there's something where you can disable keys on the keyboard, and you go and you disable the delete key. You disable the numpad key, the num lock, the caps lock. Whatever key is giving you a hard time, you go and disable it. The other thing you do is there is a program. It's in my forum. This is my forum over here. It's cheapbooks.cc. You can go to cheapbooks.cc and you can find what I'm going to show you. It's going to be under probably, it could be under antivirus. But these are programs that fix your, these are the commands right here. They fix your Windows files. And this one, for example, does not run on my computer. The file doesn't exist. This one I don't know. But these two are the ones that I run. And if it doesn't let you run it, if let's say it's typing on the keyboard, you want to grab it from beneath so that you have these vertical bars. And that means it's going to hit the return and then paste it, and hit the return and paste it. And what it's going to do is it's going to go through your operating system and it's going to check all the files, and if anything is wrong, it's going to fix it. You copy and paste this into your command prompt, or I'll show you what the command prompt looks like, just so you recognize that's what it looks like, these types of windows over here. Okay, that's most of the ways that you fix the virus. The other thing you're going to do is make sure that, well, it can be fixed by rebooting it. You can make a guest account on your computer. If the virus works in the guest account, also a new account, then that means it's probably in the BIOS. You go to your startup programs. You'll see startup settings. Find your startup settings and disable everything. Then you'll know that those programs are not causing it. You want to reduce the number of possible explanations for what's causing it. There is this option over here that you can reformat your computer to save the files, do a factory install, etc. There's lots of things you can do. When I did it, my computer was a lot faster. And the virus came back like a couple days later. So even doing the fresh install, you got to update your BIOS also, and put a password on your BIOS. My BIOS has a log. It tells me if the BIOS has been changed. And I saw changes, and I saw a different version number because the new BIOS had a different on-screen message than the previous one. The virus that I just got doesn't have the new message, but I know that the BIOS was changed because I can see in the log that the BIOS was changed, and I know what caused the BIOS. It came from a political website. They put a sensationalist story that you're going to want to read. They're never true, but it's something very sensational, and they tell you to download a file, like you have to download the video to play it, or in my case, my Java was an old version of Java, and I got the virus through Java because I had the old Java. That's what the antivirus said. And there's something called a rootkit detector. You want to check your memory for viruses. You want to check the boot block. You got to be careful with checking the boot block. When I did it on mine, the computer would not boot ever again, and I left it for hours. It would not boot again. So that's most of what you do. Sum it up. Delete all the temporary files on your computer that you can. Get the Power Toys, disable all the keys. I would kind of do that first. Set all the ease of access, like the keyboard, so that they cannot execute by changing the permissions to be read only, no execute permission. And run the SFC scan out. Very easy to remember, but I think this is the one that catches files that have been changed. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. Change your BIOS. Yeah, my computer is currently pressing a key on the keyboard. So I'm running the program. I got it with the vertical bar, so it did do it. Now, the Power Toys doesn't work with every program. It doesn't, so sometimes it does work, sometimes it doesn't. And the one that there's a button called print screen. I highly recommend you disable the print screen if you've got one of these viruses. There is a problem that can happen if you follow my recommendations, and that is the virus will go into a very fast loop. It will realize it can't push any of the keys, and then it starts over again, and then it realizes it can't push any keys, and it starts over again, and it just starts looping again and again and again and again and again. And it was a big pain when it was doing that little loop, which is something, I don't remember what it kept executing over and over. If you see a command prompt pop up, look at what time it is. and then check your task scheduler and look for anything that runs at that time and see if it's running a proper program or application. Unfortunately, I haven't found any program that manages a task scheduler, or maybe they call it a job scheduler. It's definitely called the scheduler and not the task manager. And check that. I haven't found a program to check to see if there's a virus in there. You also want to reinstall your keyboard drivers, because that can be affected. That can improve the situation with a keyboard virus or something pressing the keys. And get a program that updates your drivers, because if the driver has the virus in it, updating it could delete the old driver and install a new one. Okay, so those are my suggestions on how to do it. If you have any questions or comments, you can go to my forum and just search for antivirus. Look in the software antivirus section. And I actually do have a page where I wrote everything down. Turning the airplane mode on and off. This one, I don't remember how I disabled it. But there's something called function plus F key, and you had to switch off the radio switch device, and there's like a function key that you disable somewhere so that the software cannot press your F1 key or F2 key. And I never use them anyway, so it doesn't matter. So those are the two things you do if you got the issue with the airplane mode on and off. I think what happened with me is when I got rid of a lot of the problems, it just kept on turning my airplane mode on and off all day, like a minute after minute after minute. So I had to come up with this solution, which you can see I copied. I did not write palliative. And if you have any comments, you can put your comments over here and I will read them and I will answer them. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.